So I'm here with Gabriel and with Luke from. So you're more MCOC and you're more the new game. That's
No.
the other way. So
I'm on both.
you're on both.
Yeah.
Right. So you're on.
I'm creative director for both games. So
Yeah.
anything lore, story, characters, art, that's me. He's the producer, so you know about more gameplay stuff.
Yeah.
And, on contest.
Okay.
I know about gameplay for a round.
Yeah. I think like a lot of the questions that I seem to be getting at the moment is about the way that Marvel Realm of Champions, the naming side of things, how similar it is first and foremost to Marvel Contest of Champions. What was the reasoning behind like titles being very similar?
Yeah, okay. So, long story, but contest is 5 now, and a few years ago we started having some ideas. I wanted to explore the whole concept of Secret Wars, and I don't know if you read the series, but
A little.
yeah, the new series from 2015 was, had a Game of Thrones vibes to it. It was like different superhero houses fighting for power in Battle World, and our DNA, we are Contest of Champions, but since the beginning we wanted to include Secret Wars elements to it.
Yeah.
And we did. And we started building towards having that story in contest. But after a while, I was like, man, this is too big to be a story, right? This needs to be something else. This is a waste if it's just a one shot. So I decided to pitch a game. So I actually literally made a presentation and showed it to the people at the office, and looks really cool. Let's show it to Marvel. Marvel was already like asking, like, you guys want to do something else, more stuff? And we flew down to LA, and then we talked to them, and they were super stoked. It went so well. They greenlit the thing like right away. So that's how it started. And the story came for us. The world came for us. We wanted to build this world, which is an alternate universe. We want to invent our own Marvel universe the way we wanted, and we had so many ideas that Contest could not contain.
Yeah.
Contest is a fighting game, so we started thinking about something different, like a multiplayer real-time game, that people can play together. So that's how it started. The story came first, the game came after, and then I said, like, this should be very close to Contest. We have this universe that we're building. It fits, right? Because we're already planting seeds and Easter eggs in Contest. Let's make the two games play together in a way. Like, they're separate experiences, but let's say you're playing Contest, you hear about Realm.
Yeah.
You hear about what's going on, there's a problem there. And maybe you have some friends that play there. Maybe there's crossovers that both people can play in their own universes, but towards a common goal. Maybe one character from here goes there and becomes a Contest character, playable character. So there's a lot of cool ideas that we wanted to explore. So it made sense, like, for example, Supercell has Clash of Clans and Clash Royale. They have their world, it's Clash. When you see Clash, okay, there's a Supercell game. I think our world is Champions. So every time we make a Champions game, it belongs to the same kind of thing.
That is one of the biggest questions where people were saying, okay, so it's like a sister game to this one. The way that maybe Clash Royale and Clash of Clans and the separation.
Yeah.
Are there certain elements that you felt like, I don't want to put this into MCOC, but I want to create something new and put it into Realm of Champions? What things were you looking to take from, you wanted to put in MCOC, right, or you wanted to create separately in Realm?
Contest as a vocation, right? It's basically, if you want to play as your favorite hero, that's what you get, right? Sometimes we create new characters, which is cool. I love doing that. And sometimes we twist the characters, you change the costumes a little bit. But we don't want to push it too much, because the fantasy in Contest is that, right? Is your heroes in this battle in some weird galaxy. For Realm, it's more about you are the champion. You're not a coach. Like you are the summoner in Contest, and you have a team of superheroes, but you never appear, you never talk. You're just this guy that everybody knows, but is never. But in this one, as soon as you land in Battle World, you are a recruit in one of the houses, right? So you pick the house you want according to what you like the best. It could be what is your favorite character, but it also could be what they represent, the style of gameplay. But then you get a naked version of that character, and then that's you. This is not Peter Parker, this is not Dr. Stephen Strange, this is not Tony Stark, this is you. And then you can make your own Iron Man, you can make your own Spider-Man the way you want, because I sure have my own versions of the characters in my head, and I'm sure you have them too. So we want to give everybody the chance to create their own way to be those characters. So.
Slightly diverting away, one of the biggest things is how do you split the development of both games? I think some people were very worried that maybe there wouldn't be sufficient time for your teams to be divided to deal with both games.
Right.
But I'm hearing a lot that you've got a new team for this, which I guess this is why we're talking about separation.
How many people we had in contest last year?
Last year, well, I think our head count right now is like 150.
How many people we had last year?
Oh my god, yeah.
Much
It
less.
was less.
Right?
It was less, yeah. So like the MCO team's just growing on its
The
own.
contest team is growing and is a completely independent entity. Is the game that is our biggest game by far. Is still growing. This year was our best year.
Yeah, our best year.
You know, no doubt. So, I'm not a business guy, but as a business decision, that would be very stupid to like empty that game to try something as risky as this, because it's a creative risk.
That brings up a point that whilst I was searching for a game that I've been playing, a VR game called Marvel Powers United,
Right.
I came across your 2015 Marvel United game. Is that something?
My game?
Yeah, like Kabam's game called Marvel United. Is that not one of yours then?
No.
It's really strange because it comes up as like it was created by Kabam in 2015.
No, that's the internet being weird.
Is it?
No, yeah, I'm on contest for the last. I started in 2013 in contest. So now, you know, the creative team is split, which is basically me and a few people. They're like all my trusted lieutenants or whatever. But we have two teams in two separate buildings. We hired the entire new team to do Realm. Of course, creatively is the same story, so I go back and forth.
Yeah.
So that's on me. I created a problem for myself, but you know, the development team is completely different. There's no like stealing people, poaching people from contest, because contest is still our number one priority, right? It's the game that, you know, keeps the lights on, and you know. So
Do you think that a lot of the frustrations that a lot of players in Marvel Contest of Champions have nowadays, with the characters being changed, or we're looking at overpowered champions, we've got to scale them down, is it something that you've kind of like learned to sort out at the point of implementation?
Yeah, and so that's something we're still talking through, right? Like, for us, like, obviously the end goal is, like, you know, when we release characters, they're in the most balanced state they are. And so we're already looking through internally on our process is how can we start developing characters much earlier in the pipe so that we can kind of go through more internal balancing and QA passes before they even get out the door. That being said, like with a game where we have like almost 200 playable characters, about 1,000 quest buff nodes, there's so many interactions with RPG interactions between characters and other elements within the game that there's just stuff that's very hard to account for until it goes out in the wild. And so while we still need that flexibility to fix a problem with a champion or buff node if that exists, I think the one thing that we're kind of looking through already with like the stuff that's gone on with the recent character balancing is that one is like when we start to talk about, hey, if we're going to up-tune or down-tune a character, is we have to provide our community with way more detail and context as to what we're doing and why. I think, like, you know, great examples, you look at the announcement for Cull, where it's just like, we just kind of left at the line of, hey, we're just going to down-tune Cull real fast, and like, that's like all we left it at. And of course, like, the community freaked out, rightfully so, because we gave them no context on the scope of the change, what we're actually looking at doing, what's the problem. And so what we're already kind of iterating on now, and we're going to kind of revise is like, we're going to come out with these discussions a lot earlier before we make these changes and kind of go through that where essentially we break it down like that, right? Like, here's the problem we're trying to solve for character X, right? If we identify, hey, there's a problem with this character's kit, here's the problem we're trying to solve for, here's data to kind of back it up and show you why this is a potential problem. And then go through potentially what our solutions we're thinking about are, but even potentially I'd open it up to like community dialogue, right? Like, obviously there's gonna be players in the community who are gonna be like, don't touch it, don't touch my character, and like, you know, that's fair, but it's like, for some of these things to ensure that the game's balanced for the long term, we do need to kind of fix some of these problems. So there's a lot of smart people out in our community who have really good ideas that, you know, when it's come up to previous champions and stuff like that, like good ideas have come out of it. So
That's the thing that always concerns me, the level of complexity, that it's like, there's so much level of detail, and even you saying about things like nodes and the way that champions and abilities interact. And I'm bringing that back to Gabe and like the realm of champions. Is that something that you're gonna not be so complex with like builds of characters? or will they just be? Because obviously we're still very much in the dark about what's going on with how characters interact. And I assume they're going to be called champions in this. Yeah. Will this be very much just? It's very simple to play. What games could you compare this to? Out of curiosity, there's a lot of questions there, but
okay, I'll break in parts. What game it looks like. The thing is that we didn't approach this game that way.
yeah.
I know a lot of developers approach making games that way. They'll say, okay, look at Clash Royale. Oh, let's make a Clash Royale that has a Marvel wrapper around it. We never did that way. We actually listed a bunch of elements that we wanted to have in the game. We know that we want it to be action, because superheroes, right? So if it's boring and slow, it's not action, right? We know it's going to be real time and multiplayer. So we started making this list of maybe 6 or 7 things that we wanted. We know we wanted customization.
Yeah.
We know we wanted like teams of superheroes fighting instead of one superhero fighting. And then we sent that problem to the designer and say, like, how can we make a game? And we're gonna land somewhere in the area that is quite unique. You know, people look at it as, oh, it reminds me of that game, but that's not really the way we think.
Right.
And if I say a few games right now, I'll do a disservice to the game, because people say, oh, it is like that game, and it's not. It's like, we call it, it's not a MOBA, it's not this, it's not that, it's an MROC. So I'll prefer to keep that a little bit, let people see it, and then they'll make their own judgment. What was the other?
There was a lot, but the level of character build, similar to Marvel Contest Champions,
Right.
And the way and the time and effort that goes into making them. Would this be?
It's a bit different, because in contests you collect characters, right? So people have hundreds of characters, and maybe they'll have a few that the trusted champions that they use in a lot of things. This will be different. This will be more like, as you start, you get a character in this world. Is a character plus the gear plus the weapon.
Right.
So in a way, you're building your own character. So you have a Hulk, but it's a naked Hulk, and maybe you have like 3 or 4 loadouts that you like. Some for defensive purpose, for like attack and stuff like that. So a mix and match. So each character will have 6 different slots, and you can mix and match them and make your own version of the character, not only visually, but will help you create a specific kind of gameplay that you want.
Yeah.
So in that way, it'll be, I don't know if it's going to be more complex or less complex, but it's less characters for sure. We're not going to be releasing characters every 2 weeks. It's not about that. We might be releasing gear a lot, so people can, chase after them and see which ones they like. There'll be a lot of Marvel fans that want specific things that they want. I want this kind of helmet for Thor. But there'll be other players that be clinical about what it does for the gameplay, right? Which is fair. They don't want to know about the character. They want to know about how it plays. So we'll release a lot of those. Every once in a while, we'll release a new body.
Yeah.
And that's, in contest, will be a character, but it's not. It's just a body that you put your stuff and make a character out of. And also weapons, which are the ultimate thing to make your character play in a certain way. And every once in a while, we want to release new houses, which will make the meta kind of unbalanced a little bit. So let's say, as a new house that has teleporters, right? Let's say that is to make the game kind of blow up a little bit. If things start getting a bit stale, maybe there's 1 or 2 houses that dominate everybody else. Let's say everybody goes to House of Iron or the Spider Guild, and then the rest start getting weak. Maybe we can release a new piece of gear for other houses to rebalance. Maybe a new character that plays in a certain way to counter the dominant strategies. Or maybe a new house appears in the scene. Let's say Wolverine now is in. Right?
So how will these new items or new weapons, how will they be obtained? Is it through battling one another to win them as prizes, or similar concept to MCOC with crystals?
We're still working on the ways. There'll be several avenues for sure. We're still thinking about that, so I can't answer that. But you can probably there'll be a lot of grinding in the game, because every game does that. Every RPG. So you have to go through missions to see if there's a drop or something like that. I think that's fair to say there will be some kind of that. For crystals and stuff, we still don't know. We're still looking at all the different ways. I don't know. I used to play. I love Diablo. That's one of my favorite games. So like I remember going through the dungeons and chests and I love that kind of thing. So but I don't know. There's a lot of people involved in that.
Yeah, I mean the way that like the game is being advertised, I don't know if it's like. Stop it. I don't know if like are we going to see something similar to like Raid Shadow Legends or something where you're.
I haven't heard that reference before, actually.
Like the way that they've got like a arena-based system in there, and you're adding artifacts and gearing and like, fighting against one another. Is that kind of similar?
Maybe some stuff, yeah. Like you're gonna build up your character. I can't say too much detail about the RPG system, but I bet we're gonna have some like fine tuning of the with the numbers and stuff like that. You can evolve your gear, but I can't confirm for sure. But we're looking at different avenues because we have an extra layer of complexity on this. If you play a fantasy game and you have a paladin, whatever, you have armor. That's it. And then armor is a very flexible thing. What armor does. You slot gems in it. That's really simple. It can be very generic. With Spider-Man, we have the Marvel layer on top of it. You can't just dress everybody with armor. You have to honor each version of the Spider-Man and what they do. Otherwise, the fans will be angry at us. I'll be angry at myself because I'll just like releasing Spider-Noir. He has to do what Spider-Noir does, right? Or you release Spider-Gwen, all this stuff needs to be, there's an extra thought about, how the lore combines with the abilities, that combines with the visuals. It's really complex task, but yeah, there's some common ground to do those RPG games, but we're like several fantasy in one. If you build an Iron Man, it's kind of pretty straightforward, or a Thor, a Thor is a fantasy character, so you get a helmet, you get a cape, you get armor, and a hammer. So I think people will say, okay, I know this. This is a fantasy kind of character. But for characters that are very complex, like Black Panther, what is Black Panther, right? It's a lot of things. He's a warrior. He's a stealth warrior. He's a tech warrior. He's a mystic warrior. So what is that? What class would that be? So there's a lot of questions that we need to pass through that filter first. What is Spider-Man? What class do you put Spider-Man in?
That's the thing, rather than having like a classing system, I guess this will be a housing system or faction system.
Or the house system is on top of everything. It's like,
So there'll be classes as well as.
I don't think we're thinking in that way. We don't think classes anymore.
Would you do like types like a tank, DPS?
I don't think again, this is something that other games do that we cannot do. We cannot say, what is Captain America? He has tanky elements, but if you call Captain America tank, it's not exactly what describes the character. Hulk, yes, Hulk's a tank, of course, but Spider-Man, what is Spider-Man? Is he what would be an assassin class, or a rogue, or a light warrior?
I mean, we're turning this into a bit of like World of Warcraft meets MCOC meets this new universe.
Yeah, but we have to rethink everything. We cannot have traditional classes. We have to do Spider-Man because this is not Spider-Man, right? If you don't do it, right? So
just talking about the idea of customization and the fact of like movie versions, are we likely to see next year any more like Disney Plus tie-ins or versions of Marvel Contest of Champions? Or
Contest Champions, like the theatrical stuff coming out next year, like we'll be driving on that stuff, that. And so yeah, you can look forward to we have Black Widow and the Eternals coming next. Yeah, we're already working on some of that stuff, so that's gonna be coming. Disney Plus, we want to try and tie in with. Obviously, it's a new property for Disney, so I think right now they're kind of keeping it pretty safe in terms of cross promotions. But
they talk to us about it, but the details are still pretty sparse.
Yeah.
So we have some interest for sure. But our thing is usually, our character is pretty colorful and vibrant and big, right? So if there's a series that is very low key. With guns or punching and stuff like that, it's really not our wheelhouse. We try to make the best out of it. It's not, but we like exciting big characters, right? So when we look at movies like Black Widow, which I'm pretty sure will be pretty cool in Marvel, I saw some of the concept, it was amazing. We try to get the spin. What is the spin? What is, if we put a new Black Widow in the game, how would justify that, right? What kind of power should you have that people get excited about getting? When I see something like Eternals, for example, it really excites me because it's super
I'd
out
be really
there.
excited to see if you guys tie in some like a new type of build. I mean, that's like another like area. Would that be another like sitting outside? Like we've got Battle World, we've got like different types of realms, similar to like factions and houses here. Are you going to start like adding different things, like obviously Inhumans, Eternals?
Oh, the Eternals, we have plans for it, but I can't talk about it. Yeah, but it's all those cosmic characters, the big powers that I'm primarily interested in. So every time Marvel shows a new thing to us, I keep looking for the biggest ones, the ones that we can make it big and interesting to play in a fighting game. Yeah. That's for contest. For Realm, a bit different. You have, because different powers, different ways of doing things, and because we're not doing one-to-one characters, we can take Black Widow and make like really our version of Black Widow and make something really exciting that fits in this world. Marvel gave us the carte blanche to do this kind of thing in this game, so we don't need to be exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, we have a lot of gradations of stuff we can release. Let's say Black Widow comes out, we can release a new weapon, a new piece of gear that is inspired by that movie without actually have to release the whole character. We can do that too, so it's pretty exciting to do that. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, so we had the Summoner's Sigil put in a few months ago. Is it something that you decided to put in because of something you may do with Realm of Champions, or just because it's just mobile game trend at the moment?
Something we want to try out with Contest of Champions, right? Is like that's something we didn't really have in our game. Is like low price point. Like really, when you look at Sigil, right, it's like engagement for like a pretty high ROI on it. And so it's something we wanted to test out and see if players would like it. So far, it seems like it's been going pretty well, and it's gonna be something we're gonna continue to iterate on over the next like few months to years. Yeah.
Will you have anything like do you say something that you would expand on it, like the Black ISO market? Will it be expanded, more things added to it?
Yeah, potentially.
Anything we can expect, or?
I can't name anything now. Because I'm not the economy designer, but like our team is looking at it for iteration on what do we want to do for like the next version of it, right? Like what do we be and like when we look at it, it's like realistically it comes down to what will be added to Sigil, right? How can we give you guys more value for the time that you put in to get to maximize it? Because really that's what we love out of Sigil, right? Is it's a very low price point, and for players, it's they know they'll get the maximum out of it if they play throughout the entire month. So we'll continue iterating. I can't name anything crazy yet, but we will be adding stuff to it over time.
Obviously, you can choose to answer this or not. I've heard that we might be getting a Cavalier difficulty. Is that something that I can edit this out? By the way,
I talked about it over the weekend. Like we're not putting down like a solid date on it, but it's the pretty clear next difficulty that we want to drop for Event Quest difficulty, and obviously a lot of players at high tier are asking for it as well. Kind of the problem that we kind of ran into with like right now with Event Quest is is uncollected slowly over time has just become like more and more difficult, and maybe it's not really representative of what uncollected kind of campaign milestone tier actually is.
Yeah, because that's the thing that I've got is based on the fact that the game, a lot of the times we have a very much rush culture. It's like we want rewards, we want this, we want that, and it's then and done. So a lot of the times people are getting through and getting uncollected. You're not really understanding what it is to go up against the event quest, and then they're at a point of they just get frustrated, and then either make the decision to either stop playing or come back, but maybe come back when things are a little easier. So this would be very good for those that maybe find it difficult.
Yep. So 100%. Yeah, it's something we're looking at, and that's a key point, right? Is like you might be uncollected, but it's like over time because like the difficulty creep and the uncollected event quest difficulty, it's like it's not 1-to-1, right?
Would you consider adding units to uncollected difficulty?
So that was actually something that was brought up this weekend. So that's something I'm actually going to go back and like ask the team on and like kind of look through. It's probably like it just depends on what else we're kind of throwing in there for the rewards. Like if we do add Cavalier difficulty, that would probably make us go back to Uncollected and kind of take a look at, okay, if we're going to lower the difficulty of Uncollected, probably remodify what the rewards are for it as well. Because we've had to we've increased the rewards of Uncollected as monthly difficulty has increased over time. So probably once to get Cavaliers released, like you probably would see a little bit of a reward revision. But whether units are being added is a question, yeah.
Going over to Realm of Champions, one of the questions I had was, is this a turn-based game?
No, it's not.
Is it like just a live action, like multiplayer type scenario?
Yeah, it's a real time, teams of 3, 6 people playing at the same time. Is action, is real time action. So no.
One thing that was quite curious for me is when we were talking about the idea of customization and kind of gearing. Is this something that, I think before you added this to the Chinese version, like a gearing system, or was it a proposed things back with MCOC a while ago?
What was the name of it back then? So that actually wasn't developed by our teams in Canada. Yeah, so we partnered.
That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so
Because I think the Chinese market really likes that kind of meta game. They're less interested in the fighting. They're more interested in the leveling up and the
stat-based
sweeping, the
gameplay.
stats and
Yeah.
stuff. That's why that team specifically tried that for the Chinese market.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, because
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people would have known that.
Yeah, we're partnering with other people that understand other markets, especially China, which now is the biggest mobile market in the world. They say, okay, we understand this market, people like this kind of thing. Certain things we don't want to change because it's our game, and is really, if the game works the way it is, it's because it's good, right? So we don't want to change too much. But every once in a while, we do different experiments to see if certain people like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I think in terms of like MROC though, like that game was built from the ground up, like design and all, right? So when referencing back to like the Contest of Champions version that was available in China, like I don't think any of the design or concepts of that stuff made it over to Realm. Realm was pretty much from scratch. Yeah.
This game started, like I said, from the creative. That's very rare. If you know the game development, the game starts from either a mechanic that you already have or a business decision. This game starts from creative, because we are in a position with Marvel right now that Marvel knows we understand their universe and really want to see us try different things. It kind of matched, I had this idea and they're looking for an idea, and it's like, cool, this is like, they said a lot of people come here and try to like pitch Secret Wars and whatever, or customization, and we always say no, because there's a lot of wrong ideas. People don't understand Marvel. They just want to put the Marvel name on top of something. And because we got through the right doors, and look at this, we want to respect the property. We know a lot about Secret Wars, Contest of Champions, and how to create an alternate universe that people connect to. We want to do customization the right way. It's not skins. It's deep customization. You making your own character. It's a huge task, but like they said, okay, we trust you because of the contest. So it's nothing to do with like somebody from business saying, hey, this is like, there's an empty market opportunity to do this kind of game. There's nothing further from the truth. So, and now after that, the designers came in, they're really smart people, and they said, look, this looks like a cool game that I want to work on. We hired a team, and then the business people came in and said, like, this is cool. That's the way we're trying to market this so people understand. So it's completely upside down, but this is the way I like it. It's because I'm a creative, you're a creative guy. So, it just was born under a good sign, and I have a good feeling about this. So.
Oh, absolutely. I want to bring it back to what you were saying about the story and the idea, and where we kind of link from Marvel Contest Champions and over to MROC. Now, I have my own theory that there's a character linking us to this is a future, or is this another realm? Can you give away anything to say, like, are we in the future?
No, we're not in the future.
Because I had this theory that maybe we're in 2099 based on like the age of everything.
2099 it's one of the universes of the Battle Realm.
Right.
So if you see that map, you see the Battle Realm is a fractured space-time, realm, right? And if you see some of the Story So Far videos, it shows the origin of the Battle Realm. Is when the Celestial came from another universe, a dying universe, and he was escaping something, and he crashed into a planet. The planet started generating ISO 8 from his entrails, and that's how the Battle Realm was created. And it's a cracked multiverse. So you see people going to different realities into the Contest of Champions. Battle World is a more condensed version of that. It's ground zero. It's like everything's baked there. So every continent is a different reality. So you see a much more condensed experience into that. 2099 will be a place we're gonna develop, and I love Spider-Man 2099. I even love like stupid. Don't.
Well, I think I've just bought Ravage 2099.
Yeah.
So when I'm back on a plane, I'm gonna be reading that.
I love that.
It was $1.
Yeah, it was written by Stan Lee.
Yeah.
He's a homeless superhero.
That's so cool.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So all the stuff that I grew up with, I love that stuff. So we're gonna explore, and I like that cheesiness of the sci-fi. The Punisher 2099 had all this weird like weapons, the vibro knuckle lasers or whatever with the names. That was Guillotine 29. We wanted to make something like that was like unapologetically sci-fi.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't Marvel's most successful comic book series.
No, but people remember it.
Yeah, I think if they've been doing some other like filler ones. I think they did a Black Panther 2099.
Yeah.
They've done these like I think one shots, and it's good to see that they do want to pay homage to that. And it's great that you guys are doing it because I want to see more of it.
Right. We're exploring a lot of different alternate realities. Now that we've done a lot of the traditional superheroes in contests, now we're just like, what can we do from those alternate realities? Because it's fun. It's just fun to explore different versions of the characters. And this is the ultimate playground for that. Because I want to bring influences everywhere. Even in a single hero, you see influences from comic books, from the movies. Yeah. It's super condensed, so that's the idea for Realm. But there is characters connecting the two universes.
Is it connected by somebody in Realm going out, or kind of they're the cause for connecting, or is it someone from Marvel Contest of Champions connecting it to there?
Both.
Oh right,
There is. We already established that going between the realities of the Contest of Champions is really hard. Only a few people can do it. The Elders can do it. Thanos could do it. Doctor Strange could do it. People that are really powerful, they can transport. Man-Thing now can do it. But as you get closer to the center, it gets harder and harder to cross those barriers. And Battle Road is behind the big barrier, right? So people from Battle Road won't cross too much, but some people will figure out how to do it. So they end up in the contest, and you see a character from Realm being playable in contest. We have to, of course, to redo the character because it's a different kind of game, and there's no customization, but you see characters crossing here and there, and maybe you see common threats that affect both universes, and both of the populations of the two places have to fight together in their own universes, right? So
I know at the Marvel Games panel there was a bit more described about the game or shown. Is there anything you can give away without getting too much into trouble?
No, there's people live tweeting from there. They couldn't film it, but I showed all the players, the playable characters we're gonna have in the beginning. So it's 8. For Gamma Horde is Hulk. For House of Iron is Iron Legionnaire. Is Iron Man, but I would call it Iron Legionnaire because we don't want people to confuse it with Tony Stark. We have a Web Warrior for the Spider Guild, which is basically Spider-Man. We have a Super Soldier for the Patriot Garrison, which is basically Captain America, but it's not Steve Rogers, of course. We have Sorcerer Supreme, which is that Doctor Strange guy there. Girl. We have the Black Panther for Wakanda. We have a Thor, and we have Storm. So was that 8? Yeah. So 8. So Storm, she's a horseman of the apocalypse. So
cool.
I showed the character there. She has the blue skin with tattoos and the Egyptian kind of like sci-fi Egyptian costume. And the customization on that specific house is based on DNA modification and also prosthesis. So, Apocalypse, he likes to use the celestial technology and also change the powers of the mutants. So the customization on that house specifically is a bit different. But yeah, those are the 8. And I showed some of the models as to how they customize.
Will that be given out publicly at some point when?
I don't think the specific one will be out, but we're gonna be releasing information basically monthly.
Oh, that's cool.
We have a very deep history of the houses. We wrote quite a lot about each of the houses, like the history, the civilization, what the motives are, the Baron, even what they eat, they drink, if they have some kind of like cult or religion going on, all this stuff, economy. We wrote way too much, and we're gonna release that in the website, and probably some art too, just to show like what is the base characters and stuff like that. But it'll be like a slow burn. Yeah.
Final question is, in the current mobile market for Marvel games, how do you think this game differs from all of that? So what can you say, without giving too much away, how does it differ, and why should people think about picking it up?
Right. First, Marvel never lets people do the same game twice, right? So there is games in certain categories, and nobody steps on each other's toes. Of course, there'll be games there'll be some kind of overlap.
Yeah.
But if you have like a MOBA or if you have like turn-based game, other studio cannot make another one for the same platform. So that starts like that, which is good. The second thing is, I think if you like action and if you like multiplayer stuff, I think you'll like this game. And if it's a game for, if you're a Marvel fan especially, even more than Contest, you get a kick out of it, because you see all the Easter eggs, all the different influences, and say, oh, I remember this, I remember that. And we want the world to be a living and breathing world, so that people can influence with their actions. So people become celebrities, like, no, I have my Hulk looks a certain way and won a certain number of battles, and people be talking about me, the characters be talking about me, and so stuff like that people can actually belong to the world. That's very different. I didn't see any other Marvel games do that, and Marvel really like that too, to have that world that you can, just tell the story with us in a way. That's a very different thing. Customization, right? Nobody does customization the way we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Nobody, console or anything like that. So that's very different too. But if you're a Marvel fan and because it will help you play the game too. You look at things and you know what the land is about. I was talking about how sometimes you can play in a certain place. Let's say you go play in the Hulk land. There's a lot of gamma radiation, right? If you know that previously, you know how to dress up.
Yeah.
You know how to protect yourself. So it's not like every gear that will be good for every kind of situation. So you go into different places and you go, okay, I know I'm going to the certain Iron Man territory that has extremist virus in it. So if I take my Iron Man with that, my armor will be debuffed because they're starting to eat my insides or something like that. So we want that kind of thing. We want the lore to actually matters. In Contest, people can choose not to read the story if they want, and it doesn't really change their experience. But in this
Would
game,
that be very centric? Will you try and push that a bit more, that people would have to get involved with the story?
yeah, but we don't want to force people to read anything or But if you wanna get a bit more involved, they'll pay off. That's the thing we want to do. We want to make people Marvel fans, even if you're not.
I think this time with this game, I'm going to spend a lot of time getting into the story.
Yeah.
Because this will be fresh. This is somewhat futuristic, but there's a lot more than Marvel Contest of Champions, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, we will try to put different fantasies for different kinds of people. If you go to Asgard, it's very fantasy oriented. Iron Man, of course, is a high-tech utopia, but if you go to the Hulk, it's a bit more post-apocalyptic. So if you like different kinds of fantasies, you have a little bit of that, right? So.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time,
Yeah, no
Gabe,
problem, yeah.
and really excited.
We are too.